Hello everyone, I'm Hugh Sadleir, the Group's Chief Financial Officer. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to speak to you all at this time. We went into lockdown just as I was preparing the annual results presentation for 2019, so it's good to be able to share with you now some of the points that I would have covered then. However, I'm sure that many of you will be interested in our financial position in the current very uncertain circumstances, so I will cover this briefly as well. And although things now seem all-encompassing, I want you to think about the future, so I will offer a few pointers there. So I'm going to cover present, past, and then future in that order. You'll no doubt be pleased that this is a fairly short presentation and just a few slides, as I'm mindful that this is a new format for a financial update. As ever, if you do have any questions or would like to know more, feel free to contact me directly. First, the present. As you can imagine, as the person responsible for the group's finances, I have been watching developments in the financial markets very closely over the last couple of months. Certainly the period of March and until about mid-April was the most volatile that I, or probably any of us, have ever seen, much exceeding the financial crisis in 2008. And although things have settled down somewhat since then, there is still much uncertainty about how the economy will develop once the most immediate impact of the virus begins to ease. The group's main business is non-life insurance. To date, the non-life insurance industry has been relatively isolated from the effects of the crisis. I say relatively isolated because we have undoubtedly been affected, from seeing a notable fall in the frequency of claims to big reductions in our new business sales volumes. But we are open for business, and although nearly all of us are now working from home, we are still able to work and to serve our customers. At a time when so many businesses have had to shut their doors, this means we are relatively unaffected. In terms of finances, insurers are, on the whole, well positioned for just the sort of events that we are seeing now, holding plenty of capital resources, or surplus money beyond that needed to cover insurance claims and other debts, to deal with the unexpected. As you can see here, we have a strong financial position as a group, with assets of more than double the capital requirements set for us by regulation. We also have plenty of liquidity, or cash and other assets, that we can use quickly to meet costs. Of course, insurers receive much of the money for premiums up front before the claims come in, so we don't face the sort of strain on cash that has afflicted so many businesses. Nonetheless, no business is immune to this sort of wide-reaching crisis. For instance, while we may have seen a fall in claims numbers, we also expect some post-lockdown inflation in repair costs until supply chains recover. And we are also considering whether to return some premium to customers to recognise that they are driving less than they, or we, expected them to. As for sales, we don't expect that the fall in new business volumes across the group will affect our bottom line result too much this year, but it will put a dent in our ambitions for future years, where the value of that business in renewals was expected to come through. This will make the achievement of our business plan targets that bit more challenging. So my message on the present is that we are well placed to deal with the immediate effects and we are financially secure, but in terms of results, we will need to try to catch up with where we would have been. As for the past, it may now seem like a pre-corona preoccupation, but we should reflect back on the financial achievement of 2019. Last year was a good one for us compared to our plan. As you can see here, although we wrote slightly less premium than we had in our plan, we outperformed on a bottom line basis. And as you can see on this slide, we did much better than plan in the Toyota business, with particularly good results in Germany, Italy and France. ITB underwriting also outperformed, producing a profit for the first time since we acquired the business in 2015. The Biggle Group, which includes the ITB MGA and TX, slightly underperformed due to being behind sales targets. Central costs, meanwhile, were overall on plan, but the budget included some expectation of outperformance in other areas, which was achieved in practice by the ITB and Toyota businesses. Overall, the outperformance versus our budget was significant, but there were quite a lot of one-off factors, including sales of investments and the impact of the change in the Ogden discount rate. But actually, the key factor in last year's performance was a consistently good trend of prior year reserve releases, which gave us, as I say here, a following wind. The total impact of prior year releases on the result was 5.4 million, explaining roughly half the outperformance. In our budget each year, we expect the effect of prior year movements to be neutral overall, with any releases outweighed by strengthening in other areas. To have such a good year last year was unexpected and is, unfortunately, unlikely to be repeated. But what of 2020 so far? Well, I'm pleased to say that at the end of the first quarter, we were able to report a small profit for the group as a whole, and that we are well ahead of our plan. It has been an unusual quarter though, with sales in most countries dropping significantly from March onwards. However, before the impact of COVID-19, we had very good sales levels in ITB, and we were experiencing promising loss ratio trends in key European markets. Overall, it is great to be able to show that before the virus began to affect our markets, we were continuing a strong recent trend of improving our results. Turning now to the future, you will remember that Mike Swamborough made an important announcement in February regarding the acquisition of MS Amlin's UK and Ireland fleet motor insurance business. Mike described this as a genuinely transformational step. And here you can see why, as the addition of around 80 million of premium annually makes a huge difference to our premium volumes overall. And at a time when our business through our main current sales outlets, aggregators and car dealerships, is under pressure from the economic lockdown, the diversifying effect of writing commercial business through brokers is very welcome. For the remainder of 2020 itself, we are just now in the process of updating our expectation for the full year. There are a lot of uncertainties, from how long the lockdown will last in each country and in what form, how car sales will be affected, when and how driving tests will recommence, and how the approach to returning premium to customers will develop across our markets. What we can be sure of, however, is that the business volume that we have lost this year will be hard to replace. And as I've said, while the 2020 result itself may not be too affected, the future years will see the impact of the lower than expected renewals. We still have targets to meet to satisfy our parent company and ourselves. We need to make the best use of the rest of this year to put ourselves in the right position to achieve these. I know that dealing with the here and now can seem all-consuming, but keeping an eye on the future and being mindful of the longer-term consequences of decisions taken today is critical for our business. So to summarise, our financial present is strong. We performed better than expected last year and in the first quarter of 2020. And while we face a tough challenge in the future, our recent performance and the addition of the commercial fleet business suggests that the challenge is one that we can meet. That's all from me, and I hope that was a helpful update. Do let me know if you have any questions, and for now, stay safe and keep well. Thank you very much.